here's the promised update on the drive shaft. So I just got it installed right here. It bolted up nicely, and the center bearing length was the same, so that bolted up nicely as well. And you have to remove this mounting mount to tighten these bolts for the flex disc, but that wasn't a huge deal. And as I mentioned, this is the part that you have to change the yoke. So the transmission came with this yoke, which is 110 in diameter, and you have to convert the take the yoke from a smaller engine 722.6 transmission that has a 90mm right here. And that's what I did. It bolted right up, and now that the yokes fit, the flex disc is also the same from the 124, and that's the drive shaft fitted. Okay, so exhaust time. So this is the original exhaust tubing that connects to the stock turbo housing right here, and you cannot use this on the W124 because at this angle this part hits the steering component, the steering box, and so I just basically cut this off and then use this 60mm pipe. Well, it's 60 here, a bit longer here, but this mates up perfectly, and I'll use this as my first bend downwards, and this is that will clear the steering box nicely. So I'll tack this in place and let's see how it fits. So this is how I currently have it mocked up. It's just a couple of bends right there, and then it goes into the turbo outlet. So there's this engine bay is quite forgiving because there's a lot of room here. So I made it so that it's evenly spaced out from both this and the firewall there. So I have left to do tack these, make this one. Here's gonna be another bend, and then just a straight pipe onto here. So this is, both of these are the original, well, not the original, but replacement parts for the diesel 124 estate. So this is a 63mm piping, and these the silencer came with a smaller diameter, so I had to weld on a bit bigger adapter here so that it bolts upright. And well, to be told, you could probably do better with a bigger exhaust, like a 70mm, but I've read that with stock power, or also like until 250, this is pretty fine. And anyway, if the restriction would come from somewhere, it would come from this and this, since these are smaller diameters, and I'm not ready to make a fully custom exhaust all the way back. I'll just keep these both and see. Maybe in the future I'll see how it sounds, and if it's not too loud, I might delete this and then just run a straight pipe. But that is yet to be determined. So here's the finished product, the terribly welded exhaust. This actually looks nicer than so these were my first welds, and I mean, they were okay, I think. They look a bit cold to me. I'll cover them with some exhaust paste, so that in case there are any leaks, that gets covered up. But yeah, I'm not really sure what happened here and why they are so ugly, but functional, not pretty. I think that's fine for my first ever exhaust. Oh, that's hot. So yeah, now I'll fit it on the car and see how it fits. It should fit nicely. clamp right there, goes here and up, and there's plenty of space for everything, and the sound is coming from the last muffler. That's I have to change one of the hanger rubber things. That's fine. Yeah. So, well, besides the welds, which came out pretty shit, I think the whole exhaust is fine and it should be good. I'm happy. I also got the controller wired. So here's the controller plug that the big one from the ofgear that plugs into the to the transmission itself. I just looped it over the transmission and it loops over. Here it comes out. It's free, so no binding. But only thing that worries me is that there's a drain tube right there. So I'll probably put some more. I'll probably put something else there so that it gets covered from moisture a bit more. But I mean, this is a good insulation right there. So and my car was a manual, so this is where the clutch line came out. So I just got a bit bigger hole and fed it through the connector, because the connector is smaller than the plug on the transmission. So this fits nicely. And then this is the grommet where the speedometer cable came. And since this transmission no longer has a mechanical wire-driven speedo, this grommet and the speedo is gone, so I'll just use this. And so these two wires, this is the boost sensor that will just plug in next to the inlet manifold, and right there it's not plugged in yet as well, but there is the TPS sensor, and it will plug into the mechanical pump. And as far as I'm concerned, these are all of the connections that are needed. I'll show you how I routed it in the car. So this is the inside. So these are the two cables that I previously mentioned. So here's the clutch one, and then there's the speedometer cable. So I was thinking of putting the controller right here, but there's really not a lot of room there. So behind the carpet, there's a nice little pass gateway or a little tunnel where you can feed both of those lines with their connectors still attached through there. Alright, so as the build is nearing the end, or at least hopefully, another thing left to do is swap the pedal assemblies. My car was originally a manual, so it has these three pedals, and since I'm going automatic, I will need this one, and I also need a bigger brake pedal. Well, that's not necessarily, but I mean, nice to have. So I've started removing the old assembly, and it's basically pretty straightforward. I think you can remove the clutch and the brake, as it's basically one assembly. So you just pop off the there will be a cylinder right here that the clutch, it's a spring-loaded one. You remove here comes the clutch line. You remove it, and then you basically unplug the brake switch right there, the only one that there is, and then there's a pin as well that holds the brake and actuates the actual master cylinder right here. I've already removed it. I'll show you how it looks like. So this is the pin right there, and this is the little retainer clip. It basically goes in Where does it go in? Here, and then you slide this retainer over it. So I just slid out the retainer and took out the pin. So now that it's free from the cylinder, and now, as I'm thinking, I just have to remove these 5 bolts, and the clutch pedal is assembled, like it has a little metal part here, and that should come with this whole assembly. So I'll remove the 4 bolts. It should be pretty easy to access them, since you can see that they've left some holes so that you can access this one and this one. This one will be tricky, but hopefully I can get it off. So I'll try to do that and get back. I removed it. It wasn't that bad. It just the 5 bolts there, and this seems like one of the jobs where putting them back together, because they're not bolts, they're nuts, will be a bit in a pain. But yeah, so here's the other the clutch. So yeah, here's the line that I said that you have to remove, and I think you actually can. Yeah, you have to remove. There's this spring right there, and it rests against the body of the car, and you have to remove that. That's also easy. And yeah, so this is how it looks down there. I will remove the old clutch line. That's the one sticking out there. And I guess this will be also a good time to replace your master cylinder if it's leaking. Mine doesn't seem to be leaking, but I think I won't replace it. Anyway, that's not necessary now. One thing I noticed is that the automatic has another spring right there that the pedal travels on. The manual does not have that. Don't know why. But yeah, so now I'll just swap in the new pedal and get back. So I got the new pedal bolted in, and one thing I wanted to show you is that, so this pin goes like this in, and the little retaining clip, it's actually one of the better designs I've seen. Just basically slides in like that and then clips in, and if you want to remove it, you just pull this back and slide it out, or actually you can, it's not really tough. So there. Once you bolt everything up, there's the clutch pedals, the brake switch, there's the pin that goes through, and then there's the spring right here, the one that it just connects there and onto a hole there. The white wire, that is something the previous owner, that shouldn't be there. So now it works, and this was an easy swap. On to the next thing. Alright, so here's an update on the controller installation. So I didn't really like the way that I had it mounted previously. It wasn't really mounted. So I took off the passenger kick panel, the one that is in the footwell down there, and it's pretty blank. So I took it out, and you can see that I removed one of the ribs, drilled the hole here, hole there, and hole here. And the idea is that the controller will sit like this. All the connections go here, and then through this slit and up in the where I have the wires coming out. The PC connection plugs in, goes through here, and then I can just extend it with with a USB adapter, and that also goes out there. And then the two connections that have the housing, the display and the joystick, just come out here. They also, I think I'll just drill here perhaps, and also let them come out through that way, so that all the wires come from this side of the, and then I'll add this foam to the corners. Maybe that's unnecessary, but I'll see. And to secure it, so not really a lot of options here, but there are these two holes. I think I'll just drill a hole here, a hole on this side, and run a zip tie through it. So this way it will be mounted right whenever I want to take a look at it. I can just remove this panel. It's one bolt and one screw right here, and have all the connections and everything accessible to me. Okay, so got it mounted. So you can see I got a zip tie there, a zip tie here. It's nice and sturdy. Just a single zip tie there. This won't go anywhere, so all the wires come out here in through this hole, and these wires will just come out this side. This is open. Go wherever I decide to mount this, the joystick and the display, and then these go behind the center console where I have the wires. So let's go mount it. Here's the controller connected, so that's where I have my wires going. There's a nice pass-through tunnel to the other side. This is how it looks mounted. You can see that the cables are all there behind the carpet, and I still have to route these two cables in the tunnel, and then these two flat Ethernet cables somewhere. I'm not sure yet. Maybe I'll hide it in the lighter box, or maybe replace a vent. I've seen some person do this and it looks kind of cool, but yeah, that's for another day. Today I'm working on the external speed input and the boost sensor. So I got the speed input from the ABS line, which is here, and funny enough, the wire colors are pink and white, which is very odd, but the white one is signal, so I tapped into that one and ran it through the hole there. That was there already was a grommet there, and then I also mounted the boost control. So I just mounted with the zip tie. It's behind the cover, and I routed the vacuum line to the turbo as well, and I'm still waiting on I probably will change the soft vacuum line with a hard one like these are. I just don't know where to get them yet, but once I do that, I will probably tee off from this brown line and run one vacuum line through this tunnel into this sensor, and then a hard line as well and to the wastegate there. So just hooked this up, and also hooked up the controller for the first time. So here's the display, and well, TPS is showing 100 because it's not really hooked up to anything right now. That's fine. Yes, this is how these wires will be tucked under here, and I'll also zip tie them together, but I zip tied these, so that's nice and clean. This works nicely. And now my rebuilt shifter assembly, it looks at it even lights up. Ah, damn it, not everything. And yeah, I tested it with, at least it detects all the gears correctly. So drive, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that all works. I still want to add the solenoid for the lockup, so that's one wire from here to this plug, and I'll get the plus from the backup light there. And actually, while I'm in reverse, this is reverse, so let's see. Aha, reverse works. Nice. Alright, so that works as well. So I'll probably just tap into the plus from the reverse light, and then a signal wire, which is just basically a ground the controller have to run to the controller. So yeah, everything seems to be working, which is expected, but at the same time I'm glad. So this is where I got my plus for the controller. These connections were here already, I just used them. I'm not sure if I should find a bigger wire connection, because this one seems kind of small, but then again the controller only is an 8 amp fuse, so it probably isn't taking much current. The reason I hate these kind of clips, the ones that you use to splice into wires, so somebody had spliced into these before me, and you can just see that I just took it off, and like this power wire, it's basically hanging on like a few threads of wire there, and this ground wire as well. You see how much wire there should be and how much there is. It's like 70% is cut off just from the stupid clip. So I had my controller running from this as well, but I really did not trust this, as yeah, you can see that it's all yeah, it also has some of the wire cut. So I just use this. This is the cigarette lighter. This is the switched power, and I just soldered on another wire to the pin, and this is a nice thick wire, and much better than this. This was also loose, so it was completely just cutting around the wire as you turn it, so a very bad solution. And I will probably now take out these pins and cut this off and resolder it, just starting from here, so that the cut wire part is no longer exposed like that, and it's just nice wire. This is my this is the plug for the radio, the power for radio and ground. Well, not terribly important, but I mean, I want my radio, so yeah, I'll make this nice. Now, would you look at that? Isn't that better? That's so much better now. Nice and clean. Unfortunately, I am running low on proper heat shrink. I only have a much bigger size of heat shrink, so I will probably just use electrical tape. But that should be good either way. This part isn't exposed to any moisture or other bad things. So I'll just do this next, and then that will be done. So that's the last one done. I'm actually really glad I did not use this wire for my as a permanent solution for the power for the controller, because it is small and it's really only meant to give a signal, not a constant source of power. Also, these kind of wire splicers, I tried using one on the external speed input from the ABS sensor, and guess what, it didn't work. So yeah, I think these are crap as well. I mean, maybe for temporary solutions, for testing purposes, yeah, sure, but as permanent solutions, nah. I ripped this out and just soldered it, and that's a much better solution than these are.